Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody once again to Tuesday Night Live, sharing your stories with Tayo Nathan. This is the Tayo Nathan show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have my very good friend here, Kemi, who is joining me. I'm trying to support this initiative. I am very grateful to have you here. It's nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Tuesday night. It's 11 p.m. But it's great. It's good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. What is the weather out there? Out like in
It's
Ontario?
about this today was about 5 degrees. I think now we're down to by zero, and tomorrow's supposed to go up to -6 or something. So not too crazy.
Minus
The
six.
snow's
That's pretty
melted.
warm.
I love it.
That's
That's what the
pretty warm
Canadian
for you
joke.
guys in
Yes.
say again.
Yeah, for
It's
this
pretty
family.
warm, for us at -6 is what? Like walking in the park, just go out with tank tops and t-shirts and make it happen.
Absolutely. It's always funny when the weather starts to drop and you go from like fall to winter and it gets super, super cold and you slowly get in there and you're like -0. Zero becomes like something really bad. But then as winter goes along, when you have like -20, then you go down to zero, everyone comes out in like short knickers and flip flops. Just going around.
I know, right?
Taya's like, no, no, no. We wear jackets here,
You
please.
wear jacket, you have to, yeah, get it together.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. But we get used to it, right?
We're here. We have
This
to.
is true. This is
We
true.
have
This is
to.
true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Black History Month. Happy Black
Mm.
History Month.
Same to you. It's almost coming to an end. I think it was a really good run this year, seeing as we're
Given
all stuck at home.
given the pandemic, yeah. This year, normally by now you'd have gone to many concerts, you'd have gone to many sightings or many, poetry readings or concerts
Yeah.
or just things celebrating or commemorating Black History Month, and for those of us who don't know why we celebrate Black History is 1 month of the year. I believe in Europe, US, and Canada, it is February, and maybe all over the world is a different month. But at least for the most part, in February is the month where North America Black History is celebrated and praised, and even the work of notable men and women who've gone ahead of us. All over the world. Nelson Mandela, my personal favorite, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, inventors of things that we don't even know, being celebrated. And, most notably my mom, our moms, our parents are also Black women and men. And we want to celebrate them because, you know what, if we're here today, they did something right.
Yes, this
I
is
think
true.
so. I think
Yeah.
that they did something right. And so that's really notable to mention. So today, folks, at the LCC Media Foundation and Media Limited platform, which Tayo Nathan, we're talking about being Black in the workplace. And to discuss this, is my friend Kemi, who's also Black, and she used to work, if you've not noticed. And the reason why this is important, this is actually carrying on from last week. So last week we had a lot of discussion and we spoke about, being Black, and we kind of touched on a lot of issues, but I don't know that we gave a reason why we should discuss why being Black is necessary, or why we should talk about being Black in the workplace. And I say this because there's a lot of statistics, and I was doing some research and I realized that I'm going to read it out. I'm going to read it out. This is not mine. It's from an organization that I found, and it says 65% of Black professionals, so that Black employees must work harder to advance in their careers. 65% of Black employees say they must work harder to advance in their careers, and that is probably because there's a premonition of uh, being Black is not how
It's
do I
not
say
a
it?
positive thing. You have
It's
to
not a
do
positive
twice as
thing. So
much. It's
yeah,
almost like, and for us being black and being women at the same time, It's
Yeah.
almost like a double-edged sword where
Sword,
you're putting in 65% for your skin color, and then you're putting in another like 55% for your what's it called, for your gender. And it's
Mhm.
just those two things fused together sometimes can be very demoralizing, because
Yeah.
sometimes people asking yourself like, why bother, if you put in, and sometimes if people were just not trying, they're just like, what, this is what you think of me, and I'm just going to stay in that bubble and not be my best self and not bring my best self to work. And we see it
And
everywhere, not just in the
and
workplace,
and
but
you're right.
mostly in the workplace.
And the reason why it's important to talk about it because of the workplace is because, like I said last week, 2 weeks make a paycheck, and this is where we draw our um,
Livelihood.
livelihood. This impacts everything we do. When there's no money, a lot of things can go wrong. Crime is higher. Just a lot of things. Mental health issues are higher. So it's important we talk about this and discuss it critically and look at it. Some of us may wonder, why is this important? Well, being black in the workforce is important. You have companies like Netflix putting $100 million, 700, investing $100 million to provide awareness about Black history, being black in the workplace. That's Nike also, and that's just in Canada, I believe. In even here, sorry, that's just in the US. In Canada, RBC is also having different, I guess, diversity contests. A lot of it focused once again towards black people, black in the workplace, because to kind of sort of correct the years of imbalance, injustice, inequality that has happened out there that we don't even talk about anymore. We're just kind of used to it, just like, oh, I'm black, this is what happens to me. And I say this to say that it's not all employers that are, and I'm not even coming from the mindset of these things are intentional. you know it's not like as if people just in my experience, I find that people are afraid of the unknown, and when they don't know you,
They
they're
don't
scared of
trust
you,
you, and they don't trust you, and
and they
they
don't
get into
trust
a point where they don't give you
and
opportunities to grow. Because
they don't give.
ultimately, that's what we're
Mhm.
looking for, right? We're all looking for, what? Put me in, coach. Let me do more. Because when we think about growth, we talk about stretch assignments. Because
Mhm.
how most people grow. Because I always tell my team that if you want to go to the next level and you're not sure, and we give you more, the worst thing that would happen is you will fail at it, and we'll take it away from you. We don't judge you for it. We don't chase you around. But if you go to a new job and try something new and you fail at it, you could lose your job, because you're not meeting your employer's expectation. Whereas if it's a stretch assignment, it's saying, what, I don't know if I can do more, but let me try it out. But we
So
don't get a lot of that. So I got
when you talk about stretch assignment, let's talk about that because there are times when people are given. So I'm recently learning that a lot of times when you are challenged, um, or okay, so let me give a biblical example, and
okay.
I say this because um, I'm a Christian, and a lot of my life is based off of
I'm
that.
Christianity, yes.
So when you look at very common story, Mary, mother of
Hmm.
Jesus, she was a virgin, minding her own business, just up and going, just being cute. And then one day an angel appears to her, bam, and says, "Listen, Mary, for all your cuteness, blessed are you amongst women. You are going to be the mother of the Savior of the world." And so every other person should think, "Yay!" But then at that point in time, from that moment until she has the baby, I'm thinking if she was Nigerian like I am, and then you show up onto your betrothed and say, "Hey, dude," so somebody appeared to me and said, "I'll carry the
Unknown
Savior."
baby. Hmm.
When we talk about a stretch assignment, so they've done to do the dowry, they've done to pay the, we've done the, our parents have known each other, we see each other together, there's an engagement ring, introduction has been done, and then I tell you, wait, so somebody appeared to me, talking about an angel says, "Hey, I'm going to carry
The
the
savior of the
Savior of
world.
the
We
world,
did nothing happened, but I'm pregnant,
but I'm pregnant. Nothing happened. Though. There's no other man. It's with any other man. But I'm pregnant. So tell me, talk about a stretch assignment. At that point in time now, um, and I say this, and I'm going to go back to what you're talking about stretch because you see, everything in Mary's life goes south up
Hmm.
until she has the baby, right? Um, Up until she has the baby, things go south, and so then sometimes so come back to stretch assignment when we are given that opportunity. Do we think that is inequality?
It
Wait. Do you see
depends.
the point? Do you see?
I see what you're trying to say, and it depends,
Yeah,
right?
like
And I'll
because
give you
Mary thinks,
scenarios. Yeah,
because Mary
Mary.
thinks her life is upended, but
Yeah,
no, she's actually receiving a promotion. But the process of the promotion is horrible. If somebody didn't hold Joseph's hand down, I'm sorry, God said somebody's got to tell Joseph not to kill those girls because if I don't hurry up and show him that stop, this is from me.
yeah.
Some don't have something. I mean, when you read the Bible, read it in the context of your life. Like if I was to show up to my husband and say, I have a baby, and it was from the Holy Spirit. There'll be some repercussions and consequences. I mean,
I mean, but that's why the Holy Spirit went to, Joseph and kind of told him this is everything's
yeah.
gonna be all right, believe this. But when we take it from a perspective of stretch assignments, and you're right, Mary was being stretched. So it's twofold, right? There are times when the times when you get a stretch assignment and you know that it's a segue into a promotion. And there are times where you get useless work to hold you down.
But do you always know? Do
You
you
okay?
always know? Because I
Yes,
know.
I feel like you would. So when I was about 5, 6 years ago, when I was a senior manager, I recall one of the ways that our leaders, my directors, and all those people, the way they used to promote people was they say, you know what, I'm going to get you in front of the executives. I'm going to get you on this high value project where we report to, we go to stakeholder together. We go to steering committee meetings when you have the executives there. That kind of move for me would be stretch. And taking it back to when I was a consultant too, I recall they got to a point in my career, I'd done everything. I was now the person that was all handling special projects.
Hmm.
And that was for me a promotion because special projects, everyone else, only managers handled it. And then they're like, you know what, we're out, all our managers are stretched. Do you want to take this on? And it was a stretch assignment because I didn't know a lot of things I was doing. A lot of times I was going to meetings with people and they'll talk and I'll be looking left, right, and center, like, okay,
What?
that guy spoke English, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. But then at that point that they didn't throw you into the fire. They gave you that job because you're one of the more seasoned people on the team. However, there are jobs that have also been given where it's like I just sent a toilet washer, but it's like they tell you they're like, you know what, I need someone to just be looking at the spreadsheets every day. I sitting there going, okay, 4 years of a degree, 6 months studying for designations, and master's degree just to be looking at spreadsheets. Like this is a co-op situation. Like why am I being tasked with this
So then, in
useless
that
mindless
in
work?
that in that situation, do you consider it to be racism or inequality or injustice, or is it just would that happen to you if you were not somebody of color, or would it just happen? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to. We're just having this discussion.
No, we are like
How do you tell? And should you come away thinking that is, I guess, or what is systemic racism in the
racism.
workplace, or I always grapple with that look, do I walk in there and do they all automatically look at me as black and do they all hate me? I don't think it's the case, honestly. I don't, I really don't think so. And that's my feeling. I don't think so. But I'm one person in a drop of a million people who have varying experiences, and everybody's experience is valid, but I feel that we need to discuss the whole idea of this, perception, real,
Absolutely.
unreal.
So you touched on two things, like how do you know if it's racism and how do you call it out versus how do you just, they just thought that, you don't have enough to do and putting this on your plate. So I worked with a colleague once, like she's always out there. She's a go like she goes after what she wants. If something isn't right or doesn't look clean, she just calls it out as it is for face value. And I learned something from her that, if someone gives you something that you don't think that it's something that is worth your time. If your manager comes or someone comes and says, okay, I want you to take this on, just handle the deal with it, go away. Nothing stops you from saying, I'm so sorry, but do you not think that this is a waste of my talent? And sometimes, no, it's true. And I've seen situations like
I
I've
don't know
worked,
that everybody can say that though.
but
Kim.
that's the thing. That is that boldness that has to come because once sometimes, and because if you go around thinking that everyone is doing something to you because of the color of your skin, I've seen situations where it wasn't just color, it was just, you know what? This job you had doesn't exist anymore. This is a rubbish we have to put together. We're going to keep paying you whatever we're paying you, but you got to do this rubbish. I've seen that. And
That
I've
also
seen,
happens.
and that happens. I had a colleague who was overly qualified. She was a senior consultant and she was doing like junior PCO level work. because that was what was available at the time. And it didn't change her status. She was just like, you know what, if you guys decide, and she said it out loud, she's like, listen, if you feel like you're going to pay me X amount of dollars you're paying me to keep doing something you can hire someone for a fraction of my cost for, I don't mind. I'm just going to do it and make bank until I'm ready to go. And the corollary of that is, I always tell people that when you're a guest at someone's house and you go in, everything's good. Like, I come to your house now, you feed me breakfast, you pack my plate, you feed me lunch, you pack my plate, you feed me dinner. No, to just keep that in mind. And one day, I come back home and there's no food served. I'm going to ask myself the question that, listen, have I outstayed my welcome?
Mm-hmm.
Or I come in and you start to make funny remarks, or you're like, oh, I didn't know if you wanted meat, fish, or chicken, so I put all three together because that's the kind of thing you like. Or you cook something that I tell you I don't like, but you do it anyways. In my mind, I have outstayed my welcome. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with jobs. And I know there's not a lot of jobs out there, but sometimes, if people don't have, if you've overstayed your time there, they start to offer you rubbish. And it's not on you to think about it as, is it because I'm black? And if you feel that's the reason, call it out for what it is. But also, before you assume that you're being treated, differently because you're black, look internally, ask yourself the right questions that, what, why do I think this is happening? Don't just assume that it's the color of your skin. It could be, but unless you call it out. Sometimes you talk to your manager and you say, listen, what is the thought process behind this? And then they tell you, you're like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't see it that way. But if you go in and automatically you feel like, oh, you've been treated wrongly, you've been treated unfairly because of the color of your skin, ultimately it's going to become that, because all of a sudden, every time someone looks at you the wrong way, they don't greet you good morning, all right, oh, that person's racist, that person doesn't like black people, and then you go with that and it sinks you down. It doesn't allow you to grow and be your best self, because you're now watching yourself, because you're like, oh, I am, they're watching me because they think I'm black and I can't do anything, so I'm not going to do anything, I'll just stay in my box.
So this is one thing that has always been very curious to me.
Hmm.
And when I talk about and when we black is white, black is diverse, and you look at blacks like you who have lived a significant portion of their life in North America, so your mindset is presumably 90%, or fine, maybe fine, 85% North American, and you have non people like me and you who are slowly who are not at the point where our mindset is 85%, our thought process is, not 85%, North American. And you have people who are fresh, just directly fresh, of or just just newly landed, and they get a job and it's a great job, and then they have to grapple with the, oh, I have an accent.
Mm,
Oh, am I good enough?
mm,
Oh, all they've ever heard is seeing Black Lives Matter on TV from
mm,
Nigeria, from wherever, from the US, and they come here and they have, of course, a thick accent. They don't even understand how to, maybe, they don't even understand the nuances. There are certain nuances of things that happen. Just on an aside, I look at people's resume sometimes from other part of the world, and on that resume they put actually their date of birth, marital status, number of children. And I'm wondering, why in the world does your employer need to know about your marital status or number of children if your sex is female? Do you
but
know?
did you know that it
But
is illegal to ask someone if they're married?
in North America, yes, but when you have people who are new, you don't know, they put a resume together and say, can you review my resume for me on my CV? And then I see marital status and I see sex and I see number of children. I'm like, ma'am, no. I'm like, so if just even imagine that barrier. And you come here, you first somebody might be saying, oh well, go learn how to do this or ask the right questions. No, you're here within the first 6 months, you need to feed your family. You're trying to find a job. That's the reality. Let's stop with all this, oh yeah. No, you come, you're looking for work because you need to pay rent, you need to pay mortgage, you need to car note and all that stuff, utilities, food. And so you find a job and then you start and then you can't, you don't understand. And then you have children and your children are calling and you need to run to daycare to pick your kids. And then your non African colleagues don't understand, can't get it, or expect to be more than having to run, well, you know to daycare and all that, and then you think, well, they're racist or they're and I and I'm just saying these are real situations of
Oh
people
yes.
once again, when I looked at the stories that I use, I realized that look, even my personal story across the board, there are jobs where I just realized that, like you said, I don't know that I can work here because I don't know that they accept my life.
And that happens. That happens a lot. Like, I know that, starting out my career as well, when I was ready for progression, I started networking a lot. You touched on, picking up the kids right after school. Whereas in the North American culture, that is the prime time for going out for drinks.
Okay,
You
now,
know,
so what is networking? Let's even talk about that once again to our non-North American, what is
yeah.
networking?
Net-
Like, because this networking thing is a big deal. A lot of promotions happen at the networking, table or at the cigarette break or on the golf court. But let's talk about networking, please. Explain to me what is networking and why it is important. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
mhm,
Okay. So networking is just basically meeting people of like minds in different areas of the spectrum
mm,
that you can communicate with, because in the Canadian culture, like you mentioned, I don't know about any other parts of, because I've only worked in Canada. It's a big part of growth and promotion. When we talk to people, we'll talk about things like, mentorship, sponsorship, and networking is how you meet people from different areas that can help you in your career. And it's not just about promotions. Sometimes it's about helping you complete your tasks. So for me, I found that, for many years in my career, I've just met lots of people, and I met them either, someone's a friend is having a party at a pub. You guys go for two drinks, you meet Bob who works in a different department. You're like, oh, Bob, I sent an email to someone on your team 2 months ago. No one has responded to me. Bob's like, okay, send me a note on Monday. I'll deal with it. And you send Bob an email. Something has been, so you've been struggling with for 2 months. You met a guy at a pub just because you guys, ching ching together. Suddenly, the work has not moved is happening. So those are the kind of important liaisons you need to have. Because yes, your work does work. However, the people that you've met outside of work, those are your contacts. They're the guys that you need to sort of get in touch with, and you need to have them at your back pocket, because there are times where you need favors in this life where they don't tell you. And that's like if you look at most job descriptions, they have something called relationship management. And
mm,
many of that, they talk about, oh, you need to be able to manage relationships here and there. But think about it. If you're on the phone all the time, all your emails with your colleagues are very professional. You can't just go, hey, Bob, what's up? You'll be like, I don't know you like that. Like, what do you need?
mhm,
But
mhm.
you're at a pub, all of a sudden, everyone is talking. You guys talk. You find out that you both like, I don't know, Tasmanian Devils, hockey fan club. I don't know. And all of a sudden, you're best friends. You watch the game from something, something. Now you have some sort of connection going on. 6 months down the line, you're on a project, and Bob happens to be on the project too. Suddenly, it's a camaraderie. He's agreeing with everything you're saying. You're agreeing with everything he's saying. You guys don't have that forming stage of your new matrix team. It's a working coordination sort of thing. And if you never need any help from someone that you've met somewhere along the line from, one of your nights out or something, then it makes it easier for you to be able to approach them from a place of friendliness, and they can respond to you. And sometimes they give you tips and advice. Like if I've had situations where I've had to deal with audit, and rather than go directly to my auditor, I've gone to their peer to say, yo, how are you doing? I remember you work in audit. This is my situation. And they give you tips and advice, because it
Oh,
is
how to
not
handle it.
work related, but you know how to deal with situations, and you can go into it. And that's why networking is very important, and people should sort of take it seriously, and not just like, team events and participation and all of that. Because I hear a lot of people say things like, oh, I don't go to pubs, I don't drink. But you don't have to drink. Like, there's no
Oh,
one.
the whole idea of a whole me, in a
Yeah.
club right now, in my level in life where um I'm born and how do you say it, uh, uh, a believer, Christian to the core. Now showing up on a pub say on a Friday night, how do I even tell my pastor that son?
Girl,
Was
do I look
networking.
Muslim to you? Do I look like I we all believe in God? I am. I mean,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just
I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that
I
it
might
shouldn't.
derail a soul. Like seriously. Why is that look like that? It is people look at me. I happen to have a following that people who say that girl is straight laced. If there's heaven to be gone to, she's the one going open the door for folks coming into heaven. And now to network, I'm gonna just show up at the club on I don't know, Friday night and
It's
say,
not
hey,
even a club. Like most, like
go
I've
to
never
club.
been to a club myself in many, many, many years. But
Mm-hmm.
a pub is a drinking house where they serve alcoholic beverages, they serve water, they have chicken wings, things like they have food, they have drinks. You choose your poison. If you're the type of person, it's not a bad thing. And just because you're in there doesn't mean the Holy Spirit just an anointing leaves your body automatically. It doesn't. If it works like that, I swear down. There's so many people I just want to pull inside and say, let the anointing leave you. Let's see what will happen. You know what I mean? But anointing does automatically leave you when you go into a pub. It's not a bad thing. And if your journey in life is saving souls, nothing stops you. Like that is the only time that you can go outside of work and get believers for it and get believers without seeming like you're forcing yourself out with strokes. Now, that being said, I'm not saying enter a club and saying, brother, you're drinking in Manhattan, you're going to hellfire. Believe in no, nothing like that. But you can talk about religion, talk about your faith, you can talk about everything like
I
that
mean, I see what you mean, that you can actually have a
outside of work
conversation
conversation.
that is with your,
Exactly.
yeah, a more relaxed conversation. Can actually share your world views, and people get to really know you. And I think we don't do that enough. Maybe as once again, I speak from the point of view of our newly landed immigrants who are new and who are maybe a bit older, second career, starting a fresh kind of deal, and they've never gone to a club before or a pub, or even a lot of times I remember a story where I took a bunch of my well, I accompanied a bunch of my older cousins to a restaurant, and they really didn't know what to order from the menu because everything was so bland. And I'm like, how are we gonna survive? You're here. You're gonna at the point in time order McDonald's, right? You're gonna go for a barbecue. They're gonna serve you potato salad. You're gonna have to potlucks. Potlucks at work. You're gonna have to
And
do this,
there's
and
nothing
so
that stops you from saying, I don't know, can you help me? We underestimate that. There's nothing like, there's nothing that stops you from saying, guys, I've never had this experience before. Where I'm coming from in my 25 years, we go to work, our boss enjoys it when we work from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. That
mhm,
for them, hard work. And now I'm in
mhm,
a country where you're supposed to play and work, and it's new to me. I've never been to a restaurant before. I've never
mhm,
ordered from a club before, or
mhm,
from a pub before. I
mhm.
don't know. Help me. And you'll be surprised. Like you'll be surprised how willing everyone will be to be like, oh, this person's new. I've had situations, we've had people from like the Middle East where we've gone out drinking with them, where it was their first time, they're Muslim, they don't drink. So we have watched them and we said, listen, this person doesn't drink. Get them cranberry juice, or let's get you some apples, some cranberries, some this and that. Find
Mhm,
what
mhm,
your
mhm,
tribe is.
mhm.
And if you're vegetarian, would order like, and every time something comes around, we'll show them that okay, this, try it.
Okay, so
And you'd
there's
be
you know
surprised. You'd be
yeah,
surprised. Like,
but it's a two-way street. What you're saying to
mhm,
me, like, look, because you have to try. Because for a long time in my career, I declined, and not because of religion, or just more so family commitment, and I just wasn't interested. But then as time went on, I realized that I was kind of shoot myself in the foot because I was being misunderstood. People didn't really know who I was, and so sometimes when we're at work and we joke and I laugh, they're like, "Oh, you have a sense of humor." I'm like, "Yes, I do have a sense of humor. I'm just not the one who sits at the back and looks at numbers." I'm like, "Oh wow, you should come with us sometimes." I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
yeah,
And then the relationship, and I walk up next time, I say, "Hey, can I have?" Like, "Yeah, yeah, for you, I'll do that." So I realized that there's something about networking. There's something about uh, having relaxed conversations. But that makes your work life easy. That even helps your success. That makes you wake up in the morning saying, "Yes, it's going to be a great day." Because one thing I find is some of us who are super religious, we pray these things and we pray it and we bind it and we cast it and we pray it again. But I don't know that it's all about, I don't know that prayer would be what knowledge can solve. Do you know what I mean? Like,
mm, mm,
if
mm.
there's, I believe, listen, a million times in prayer. I honestly I do. But I also find that we pray when we should act. We pray when we should gather knowledge. We pray when we should do the right things. And that bothers me. It's beginning to bother me more as a person. When we're inferring or looking for issues that, if by careful behavior, wisdom application, knowledge gathering,
Mm.
Understanding. It's almost like as if for a long time, when I'd go to work, I didn't know that I should research the job that I was doing, meaning that read outside, read about, understand, even understand the industry. And then one day I was driving in a car with one of my bosses, and he goes, "Yeah, about the oil fields," and I'm like, "What about the the people go to Fort Mac to make money. That's about all I know. And the oil sands. What is the oil sands? I don't know. How do they get the oil out from the sands? Not sure. I mean, there's the sand, there's the oil. How does it make money? They sell it. You know, well, that was the extent of my knowledge on these things. So I realized that I needed to listen to the news, read something on the internet, do some research, be above and beyond, be able to have a sensible conversation with somebody, even at work, that had nothing to do with work, but just being able to carry on because that's where your mindset is tested. And so, but I don't know that. And so I realized that that's important. But I don't know that a lot of us going to work doing that. We go to do our work as long as you're doing your work well. But is that enough? Because if the statistics is saying 65% feel that what is that? Well, so they must work harder to advance their careers, and that's um then do we not need to start thinking outside the box? Being black in
Absolutely.
the workplace, do we not need to start? Last week I was saying that I hold black people to a higher standard because if you know that the odds are tilted against you, should you not do better? Do we have the luxury of not doing better? You know,
I mean, I disagree with holding people to higher standards. I think everyone should be on the same playing fields. We should be less. We should be we should not lower the standards, but we should be more supportive of our black colleagues. The
I
fact
am.
that and we
I'm
should be more sympathetic to their plight. And also, I think that as black people, especially those of us that have been in the workplace longer, when you realize that your colleagues who are also black may be maybe feeling sort of on their own, I feel like it is on us to at least try to make them feel welcomed if no one else will do that. I'm not saying now just be friends with all the black people. No, not that. But if you see a person, they look lost, or every time we're all going out, they're like, oh, I want to stay back and do work. Then it should be one of those conversations that you should probably come out and join us. Tell them about a joke someone said, and just kind of get their vibe. Some people just don't like to socialize. It's just not something that they're interested in. Just want to work and get that done. And more power to them. It's not like I don't think that your career will be completely limited by the fact that you don't socialize with people. However, a big part of the work, which is what I love, is that you're getting the chance to mingle with your colleagues and you're seeing them more less like colleagues and more like people. And it's great. And it's great because you were leaving wherever we're coming from, where everyone's the same. Everybody's from the same tribe, from the same race. You might even be cousins, who knows? And you've grown up in that to a place where, the person sitting next to you might be this, Jewish Italian from God knows where. And you don't know about the Italian culture, you don't know about the Jewish holidays. You can learn that from them. And if nothing else, you're growing that knowledge of the world. And there's nothing more beautiful than having trivia about the whole world. You go to like a dinner party and you're talking, and it's not just about, oh, the policies, the this, the that, my children, it's more like, oh, did you know that, the Jews celebrate or Shashina or some one of those holidays on this, and this is what it means. And you're like, oh, that is smart. I didn't know that. Let me read up on it. And that just helps you when you have those different liaisons and different people around your network to grow yourself as a person. And I don't think anybody left their home countries to come to Canada to remain in that bubble of I don't want to grow. You're coming
we
to
all
expose
came.
yourself to
We
more.
came. We all came to make money. It was not to fraternize. It was not to know about Rosh Hashanah or to know about where there's oil and sand or sand and oil. It was to make money. Matter of fact, when I left, they said there'll be dollars on the street. And I'm taking those dollars to pick up. So,
Oh,
and the reason why, this conversation is important to me is that there's a way to make money. I don't know that we know this,
mhm.
that with as in everything, like nobody teaches us how to make money. Matter of fact, we just think that somehow, like I keep saying, the whole idea was if I went to school and I did well in my grades, I went to university, I'll get a job and guess what, I will make money. And then bam, I did all that, and where's the money? don't have it yet. So a lot of us don't know that there's an art to being in the workplace, and I don't know that I've learned it all. I don't know that I know it. I just know that I'm learning. I'm realizing that there's an art to being in the workplace. There's an art to being in anywhere. You just can't. You know, Success doesn't just happen. And if you're gonna succeed at work, there's got to be a planned process about it. One thing you said, and you said is, look, if you've overstayed your welcome, leave. I don't know that everybody can do that. I don't know that I can do that. The signs are there. Clearly, they are there. You are realizing things are changing. They've shifted people around. New people are coming in. The guy that used to like you left and don't like you anymore. They're sending you hard work. They're missing you out on email. An email that should have been filtered your way was we're not in that list. The signs are there. It's nice to list graciously. But then I don't know that I have the courage to just send in a resignation letter and go.
Okay,
You know,
so
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I just want to put it out there. Don't ever quit your job if you don't have something else lined up. Especially like don't ever like the only people that do that
Come
are
out of
just
pride on
trust
principle.
fund babies. No, get the job, get a start date.
I mean, like someone you can work out on a principle. How about working out to make a statement?
Yeah, but that was like okay. So what happens when at the end of the month your bill comes in? Is that statement you've made going to pay the bills? If it is, then more power to you. When you talk about principles and things like that, my thing
And are
is,
you suggesting that we have no principles that we can stand up for?
I
This is
mean,
after Black History Month. You
okay,
know,
so we do have our principles, and yet there are times when you can be like, you know what, I can't deal with this. I would rather be homeless than there's situations like that, definitely. And I've seen people who are like, you meet them and you're like, no, I can't, cancel my start date. I cannot do this. I'm going back home. But then also in your, losing it with your leaders and things like that, do it smartly. Don't just be like, oh, you don't like black people, I hate you, I'm out of here, all the best, this is my 2 weeks, and just go in and sit at home and be like, okay, where's my next bread going to come from? Be tactical, be strategic, make a
I like
plan. Have, if you
it.
feel like you're not welcome.
Strategic.
No, it's true. Like it's not like if I came to your house and I was staying with you for 3 weeks, I has nowhere else to go. And on the second week, like my plate is not even there. You're cooking without me in there. Obviously, you're sending me a signal that I don't want you here. It's
Mm-hmm.
not that night I'll say, Tayo, I'm carrying my bags and going home. No, that night I'll go and look for Airbnb and say, okay, what is in my budget? This is here, that is. And I'll come the next one. Tayo, good morning. No, I made breakfast while you were sleeping. By the way, I think I'm crouching your space. I'm going to go somewhere else because I've made plans. But then if I've not made a plan and I just attack you, oh, this, that, and the other, and I carry my bags and go anywhere, who's going to suffer?
Well, I mean, if you have to ask,
No, it's me. It's me at the end of the day because you have your house back. You're free. You don't care. I'm
yeah,
on the
well, of
streets.
course.
I'm on the streets in the cold on the floor, lying down, say, "Oh, Taya was so mean. You could have been nicer to me." So that's the same thing with work. It's like, yeah, people treat you like crap, but it's not like that. Is just their way of saying, you know what? You've outstayed your welcome. You can leave now, and that's your way of saying, what is my next step?
So what is this timeline about staying your welcome? Because putting together a resume, trying to find a job. Oh, you
It's the
land the
worst
job
thing in the
for
world.
yes, and then you go for the interview, and then you land the job for 6 to 8 months, and then what? You work there for 4 months and you're bored. You're like, crap. What is this? Like, what is the um timeline from when you realize that? Because I've seen people who've been there for 35 years, 20 years, and before I didn't understand the value of being somewhere for 35 years. And then when I see them, I'm like, whoa, 35 years here. Like almost you have to wait everything out. So I guess so then what is the balance? Do you leave or do you wait it out? Because
I mean, it depends on how you feel. So, and this is me personally. If I wake up in the morning and I start having a headache, I don't know if my stomach is aching me or not. I don't know if, my leg is it wobbly. It feels wobbly. I don't think I should go to work today. That's my clear sign that I don't like my job and I need to get out of there. Because there's nothing in this world that is much more like is more important than your peace of mind. Now, for me, and I can't speak for anybody else, I would rather put the work in, fix the resume, look for a new job, and then say, sayonara, you can have your job. People wait it out, like more part of them. I worked with a guy once, and I think I left the job after 3 years. No, 2 years. He came in halfway through, and when things started getting really gleam, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to start interviewing. I'm going to get out. He stayed, and he said things are going to get better. A year later, I ran into him, and all he had was complaints. The next year I saw him, he had gout because, it's still at the same job, gout, but still at the same job, really frustrated, not happy about anything, but he was going to wait it out. And, after and he had been with the company for many years before I joined. I think it's on my Facebook, so I can't even say how long it's been with the company. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was very miserable and his work suffered for it, right? Because
Mm.
they would change things and everyone. He just went from like a star pupil that was someone that was getting annual achievement awards to someone that was being told to improve their work. And once
Mm.
you're at that point, like I don't think and after being there for 3 years, you're demoralized. Where are you gonna go next? You're gonna go to your next job and you'll be very miserable, going like, oh, my last job was really awful. And everything you do is just talk about the badness of it leaves a bad taste in the mouth, is what
You
I had
know,
learned.
I just always wonder how our parents stayed 35 years with a company, 30 years with a company. Like, how did they do that? Like, really shout out to them,
And
because, well, although, like, I know that my parents didn't have to deal with necessarily being black in the workplace as much as being tribalistic in the workplace. There's also that.
Mhm.
We're not going to talk about that because I don't even know that I can't talk about
I
that.
don't even know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but I do know
That's a thing.
that's the thing. Now, so but I wonder, how they did it because it's hard. It's hard.
I
And
think our generation, the millennials, the Gen Zs and stuff, we figured something out, that we have choices.
is that
Because
bad?
it's no, we do, like, because a lot of times, when people tell you, oh, this is going on, everyone's like, oh, just put up with it, it's fine, it'll be over soon. Like you said, wait it out, it's gonna get better. And we don't realize that we have options. And we have come up and we're like, you know what, I can't deal with this. This is too much for me. I'm going to go somewhere else. And it's a shock because when we look at people, like a lot of people that have been there 35, 45 years, that's their thing. Because some of them, I've worked when I was at the bank, I think when I started, the combined number of years of everyone on my team was 100 years. Yes,
Mm.
exactly. 100 years. So people have been there for so long. And I was in operations. I was supporting like a lot of operations folks, they've been here, they've been at the same job for, 10, 15, 20 years. You go there and they're just full of complaints. Like, good morning. Oh, what's good about the morning? This is that. That is, my computer is not working. I'm pressing keyboard. And you're like, girlfriend, no, this like this is fresh blood. Let me get vampirism to this. But you see that, like, and I think for me that was the ginger that I had. Like, God, I don't want to be here in a situation where 10 years from now I'm a miserable little grunt and every young person doesn't want to be around me because I am so miserable. But the older generation never thought of anything as they were grateful to have a job. Think about coming into the workplace. This is a job you have when you start, and that's what you do to do for the rest of your life. You don't go changing because what you're going to see when you go into the front. But my thing is, we get there, we deal with it. Last, it will be very bad, and we'll turn back and retrace our steps. It's just right.
You're
Or
right.
you go there and it'll be fantastic, and you stay there. I
And
mean,
you're right. I guess the fear of the unknown.
the fear
One
of
thing
the unknown attacks people, and they just stay. I have colleagues that you can tell they're miserable, they're not happy. They'll tell you they're looking for jobs, but they're not really looking. They're like, and when you talk to them 2 years later,
because
when you
you're
are
looking,
like,
you find.
yeah, they're like, oh, I just thought that I don't know what I'm going to see in front. That if I stay here, it might get better. I'm like,
I mean, well, you know what though? There are times when it is safe to stay.
it is safer to stay. I
In
mean, now is a really tough time with
Mhm.
everything
I,
going on.
I have colleagues who were gonna leave about this time last year, um, March, and they were ready to go, and then shutdown happened. They're like, "Whew, thank God I didn't tell them that I was about to leave," because, well, so there are times when it's safe to stay, when it's safe for you to understand the terrain. But I think above all, what you're saying is that as a people, we need to take more control of our lives or of our careers and make it what we want. And I think in this show, what I've always said, and I always say to us, is even myself, as we learn as we grow is that a lot of things are in your control. There's got to be a time where you no longer give your control, your power to anybody, and you prayerfully take control of your own life and make choices. Because one thing I am also learning is that the information you need to succeed is out there.
Yes.
For a long time, I've always felt that certain information was just for certain people and that it wasn't open to me. And so I couldn't access that information because it just wasn't, so I would always listen to people who I felt had that information. But then when I look at a lot of the presidents, not even a lot, the last maybe 4 or 5 presidents, give or take, of the US, give
Yes.
or take the last one that they all had, they all had a reading list.
Yes.
Um, Bill Clinton had a list of 10 books every summer that he would read. And there was a time when I would pick one or two of the books and read. And I find that the reason why they were successful is that they read wide, you know, they read very wide. They read all range and all manners of topic. And so they were knowledgeable. And that knowledge itself gives you an advance against everybody else. And at that point of knowledge, I don't even know that color would matter anymore. Like Femi Adeyemo, the guy that Biden picked as his deputy treasury secretary.
Mm,
Um, Probably not much older than us. Went to grade school, but I think I read something about him always,
reading.
reading knowledge, reading. And I say this because I emphasize this because as being black, one of the things that will separate you, separate us, excel you, grow you is your knowledge base. What you know. It's about what you know. Because what is the point of going to work? It's to show what you know.
Absolutely.
To be knowledgeable and to ask the right questions and to know how to ask the right questions. But somebody once said, this is not a nice comment, but if you want to hide something from the black race, put it in a book. It's a
I remember this.
You
I read
remember
that
that?
somewhere. It's one of those memes, and I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, that's just a call to action right there.
right there, right there.
Mhm.
If you want to hide something from black people, put it in a book. That's horrible. That's horrible. I don't think it's true necessarily, but they're like if that is the perception that as a people we don't read, so we don't distinguish ourselves, or we don't have the knowledge base, so therefore we cannot rise, so therefore we are looked down upon, so therefore there's a prejudice against us. Um, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality some of us might live. And once again, I speak from my experience, from my point of view, but there are varying experiences out there. There are people who have real issues of real racism, and I really wish if you were listening to me out there, you find help. You go get help. You find help. You go get help because it's not right at any point in time. But much more to say that is for those of us who are not in that situation. Um, do we have a burden to
Mm.
learn more, to read more? What books have we read? This is March, no February.
It's
Which means
March already. Like
it
I
is
said,
March already.
by Sunday it's March.
I,
So
yeah,
yeah. How
and
many books have you read?
I've read one outside one, you know. Um yeah, one. I don't know that I'm proud of that necessarily, or but at least I read one because I don't know this time last year if I read any at all. Other than do you know what I mean? So I read one and I'm thankful for that, that at least I was able to pick one and read. Other than my regular, other things you reading. And yeah, so are we reading? Are we learning? Like I said, Barack Obama also had a reading list. I don't know if all presidents do. Oprah has her own
Oh
um,
yes.
club, and some of us might say, "Oh, Oprah," but hey, it's a $1 billion lady right there.
The woman is like she's making things happen. She quit a very cushy job how many years ago, and she's still
Yeah,
very relevant today. Just doing her things, and she grew from being a talk show host. How many talk show hosts do you know that went on from, just sharing a talk show to doing
cooking.
so many, like she has her own network.
Yeah.
She has her own
Mhm.
studio. I think she has her own studio where she's been doing all these Oprah movies or whatever.
Yeah,
She's an
yeah, quite a bit of
actress.
Black history. Does that just happen? Did that just happen? Some of us look at success as she was lucky, or she was just lucky. Affirmative action. No, no, I disagree. I think she worked so hard. She invented a new name for hard work. Just and I think once again, a lot of it starts from understanding the need to understand knowledge. And I say this to people who are listening out there that look, listen, we say all those things about Black History Month is a call as much as this is a salutation for our people who have gone ahead of us, but it's also a call to action for us, our children, you know. Are we reading? Are we gaining knowledge? Are we understanding the terrain? I say this to a lot of Africans. I say, listen, if your home country, anyway, you throw a stone to any country in Africa. If it was that much good, you won't be here. I guarantee you. So if you can sink your father's mansion in Canada, go right ahead. But you can't, so behave. and
I
and it's
love
like,
that.
they're like, well, no, I'm like, no, it's true, it's true. Let's be factual. We come here, sometimes you wanna act all like I see people that who've been here are not smart enough. I disagree. This Canada has been around for how many years? 100 years, 500 years.
150 something. No,
Close
it's
to
more
you.
than that. When
This
was
one is the US that is, it's been around for a while. So yeah, Google it.
I am doing that right
It's very bad. I don't know that, and I'm talking about knowledge. You
now. I
know,
know, but that's something we have to learn, right? And
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I mean,
yeah.
you asked me a question, and first thing, like, I have Google just there. Yeah, 150 years ago with
150
Confederation
years
in
ago.
1867. Yes.
I don't know how many I know that of course, but as a country I don't know what the oldest country is in Africa.
Oldest country in Africa. Let me find. But you see,
You know?
that's the thing that
So as a
um,
country, I guess my point is they've kept it together um, long enough to still be around to provide us health benefits today in 2021, and so um, we need to respect that and understand that this was built on planning, you know, knowledge, more planning, more knowledge, and then when it doesn't work, retooling it. There are places here that has been earmarked for the next 30 years that nobody's going to ever build it. Proper land that is 30 years out in the making has already been planned for a park or for a school, and it's there. And so I guess I say all this to say this is Black History Month. What is our takeaway, other than celebrating all the goods that have gone ahead of us and all the greats? What is our takeaway from this month? As Black people, what should we be taking away? What is our call to action?
I mean, there are lots of things. Like we covered a lot of things around like work, life, everything we know. We talked about everything that's going on. I think it's a great time to be black, to be honest with
Oh
you.
yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah.
it was always a great time to be black. I know there's so many things going on, but then when you're being black, be intentional about it. You know, always just do you. Don't assume that anyone is out there for for your downfall or whatever, but I appreciate the fact that you are where you are. You're a unique individual, and anyone who's seen you should be lucky to have you. And of course, now that you're in the system, you should also you should also be a good representative of your people and help change those thoughts that everyone has around Black people, really. Because there's those stereotypes that people sort of say sometimes just to just I can't even repeat them because they're very insulting. But
But
going
they're
in,
there.
they're there. People think that, oh, black people are very lazy, so you must give them work. They don't know what they're doing. I've heard that.
Oh yeah.
But of course, I've never experienced it. No one has ever come to me and said, oh, I'm going to give you more work because I heard your people are lazy. No one's ever done that to me my entire working career. But just going in, doing your job, being very social, and understanding that there's nothing wrong with you for being black and the world is not against you because you're black.
I think that's a positive note to actually end this conversation. The world is not against you because you're Black. It's actually a great time to be Black right now. Things are changing for our favor. And yeah. I think we've overspoken again. Our
We have
time is.
spoken for like an hour.
Don't say the time on. Mm-mm. I got so I changed. Yeah, I couldn't see the time, so I just looked at my phone when I realized that. Yeah, I don't think I'm being very respectful of this my 45-minute commitment, and I feel very bad. It's like I'm just feeling into that horrible stereotype of being late always. I don't know.
No, no. I think you're doing great. And of course, given the time and the topic and all of that, I mean, maybe next time we sort of talk. And I think I talk a lot too. So,
I
there's
don't
that
know that
too.
our issues can be discussed in 30 minutes.
No, I don't think so. So
45
I think
minutes.
that we need to have maybe like a series. March is international. It's March is International Women's Day. I
You
believe
took
it's
that
March.
right out of my mouth, actually.
Yes, also exciting.
I know. For
I
women,
love for women
for
everywhere.
women,
It's
everyone.
it's great when you think about how we've come along. So I remember when a company I worked for was celebrating they were celebrating I think 150 years.
Hmm.
They started to sort of talk up. They went through the vault and they were showing trivia about what used to happen back in the day. And back in the day, women were not allowed to work. They could only do secretarial work, and that was it. And I learned that for a woman to work back then, I believe she had to get her husband's permission to say, yes, I permit this woman was my wife to go and work, her father's permission. And I read
In some
somewhere,
countries of the world, I think that still exists. I'm not gonna.
absolutely, and I read somewhere that there are places where women are not allowed to sort of have any assets. So you couldn't open a bank account. You had to do it like a man had to do it, and you couldn't have your money. So if I decided I was going to do petty trading and or giving my services away, I wouldn't get the money paid to me. If I didn't have a dad, too bad for me. If I didn't have a dad or a husband, then I'm just someone's slave, just walking
That must
away.
really annoy you. That must really hurt your feelings. That kind of a
Exactly,
setup.
and we've come a long way now.
Yeah, we
Where
can.
Yes, I got upset the other day and I'm like, I'm gonna have five different bank accounts from the five banks just because I can. I don't have to have money, but I'm like, I just want to because I
Just because you can.
power. But think about that and just how the world has come, and even being black, and we're going from slavery, and we think about this Black History Month is about reflecting on all those that came before us. We talk about the first person that put an end to segregation, the one girl who went to school, and every day people just threw 8 speeches at her. I saw a picture, I forget the girl's name now, it's top up back of my head somewhere, and she was the first one to go to a non-segregated school, and
Hmm.
she was the only Black kid there, and her mom would walk her to school every day, and this men and women would come out with placards saying they're going to kill her, they're going to, like, words I can't say on camera. And you're like, the girl wasn't even 5. And then I think of that, and the other day I took my niece to school, and we just waltzed in. She sees her teacher, they hug each other. She goes to play with her friends or whatever it is that
And
they're
that's
doing
it.
in this space,
That's
and
it.
that's it. No one
That's
ever
it.
thinks about the fact that oh,
Everybody has paid that
am I
price.
am I in the right school? I'm Black,
Um,
therefore I'm going there. So people worked hard to get us to where we are, and
mhm.
we should just remember that, celebrate that, and just allow that to continue for the next generation to come and back and
No,
forth,
we
and just
honor
not
that.
derail ourselves.
And we honor that. I
Yes,
truly
we
do
do.
honor that when I think of people who've gone ahead of us, who've made sacrifices on a personal level, even on a global scale.
Hmm.
Truly, who's broken some kind of ceiling
Record,
record
absolutely.
for women, in sports, women NBA, tennis, everywhere. There's been women who've really paid the price for my children, your children, our children. Maybe not even me, but our children to dream, to achieve, to want to be things. So that's pretty good actually. That's really impressive. And so the month of March, yay! I'm so excited actually. Women,
Absolutely.
women, women. Oh my God, women. We're gonna talk so much about women. And March, the theme is stories of women around the world. No particular theme, just a story. Story of women
Oh,
around the world. And good stories, bad stories, tear jerkers. I want to cry one day on this show. Just cry. It's my
I can't do it. I can't do it.
you know, and
I'll
just
bring.
have
Oh,
a
we
good
can do
cry.
this. We'll have the kids cut onions while you're talking, and that way the water just comes out.
Well, that too, right?
Yeah.
Just have a moment, a women moment of actually a tear jerky moment of something that happened to a woman, good or bad. It doesn't have to be all gory and horrible. There's really the spectrum. There's great stories. There's great stories of achievement, of overcoming, obstacle, stories of marriage, Prince Charming, religion, just stories, guys, stories. I'm so excited. I like stories. I like to hear. I like to tell them. So if you want to share your stories, please share your stories with us. We have a Facebook handle, Tyrell Nathan Show. Ladies Canada.ca. Email us, please, at info@Media Foundation.ca if you want to share your stories for the women month, the month of March, so that we can compile your stories and talk about it and celebrate the wonderful world of women. I honestly love being a woman. I've never wanted to be anything else. There are women who are like, I wish I was a man. I don't
I
know. I enjoy being a woman. I
I
think
know,
that's
Sydney.
also my
I love everything about it. I love the
yeah.
fact that I get like there's so much about being a woman that is just so beautiful and amazing.
It
And
is.
that is not to say that Joe, that women will feel like men and like our transgender friends are like, but it's just being a woman, I love it. I just love it.
I
Love it,
just
love it,
my
love it.
fact. I love being a woman. I love the challenge, the insecurity, the pain,
The high heeled shoes you have to wear when you
the
don't feel like wearing shoes. The
or the
hair you
makeup.
got to do,
Uh,
the makeup that is so stressful, and you have to be careful so that when you drink water, you don't get lipstick on your cup,
and
or when you wear foundation, you touch
like
your face.
like me, I'm the one person who puts eye mac, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm, oh, did I?
You know? And by the time you're done after day, like you look like the bride of Chucky because there's
I know,
like
right? Because
mascara everywhere.
yeah, that's me. So I stopped wearing it because I'm so like, yeah, and it's all over my
Oh, I
face. So,
love it.
oh my God, women. So guys, I want to say thank you to everybody who's hung in there and who's listening to us. We have viewers tonight, and I say thank you. Finally, I see what the time clock is on my thing. I didn't see it before. I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening to us. Truly, guys, I appreciate you. You've been nice, kind. I'm thankful to everybody. This is once again the Tired Veteran Show with Kemi tonight. Thank you so much. Once again, I am just gonna leave you with this. It's about knowledge, guys. You will grow by knowledge. It is the knowledge, the concerted knowledge that you have, or the dedicated knowledge you have, and a point of view is what will make you grow. So let's make 2021 our year of knowledge. Thank you once
Thank
again.
you.
See you next week. God
Thank you.
bless you all.
Bye.